local sustainable brands. We're at Funan, and we're also online at www.thegreencollective.sg. And at today's Kampong Chat, we are going to be talking about what is sustainable skincare, and we are going to be moderated by the lovely Mathilde of Orgayana. So over to you, Mathilde.
Thanks a lot, Aggie, and thanks for inviting me today. Welcome to the webinar, everyone who's on here, and to Sarada and Jasmine, who will give us some great insights into natural skincare and also guide us through the do's and don'ts and myths about using all natural. So just a little bit about me. I'm Mathilde, I'm founder of Orgayana. It's a lifestyle guide to healthy and sustainable lifestyle that you can find online. And one of the topics that we cover is natural skincare, where we present articles and videos and even podcasts on the topic. And personally, I went from commercial to organic skincare, I think about 15 years ago. I was living in Denmark, where I am at the moment, by the way, if you're wondering about the light in the room. It's 1 o'clock here. So we were, back then I was using brands such as Dr. Hausker and Jolique. There wasn't that much to choose from back in those days, sorry. And in the past years, I've been experimenting doing my own skincare as well, and also using local brands, because as you probably know, there's a lot of those out there now. And two of those are with us as panelists today. So we have Sarada from Iryasa and Jasmine from Within. And perhaps if you could tell us a little bit about yourselves, so you know everyone here knows what you're about and what you stand for, which of course we'll go into depth with in a moment. But Jasmine, maybe you can start.
Yeah, sure. Hi everyone, I'm Jasmine, and I am the flower child of Wellness Within. So for us, in our ideal world, we would have everyone use no nasties products. And we would have everyone learn how to empower themselves to read safe and toxin-free ingredients to lead a healthier lifestyle. But of course, this is not an ideal world. So that's where we as a community, we can come in together to share ideas, to help each other, and to share the little bits and bobs about what they use or what they don't use. And also for us, we don't do just skincare. So our aim is for everyone to actually rethink about their impact of their lifestyle and whether it's for them, for themselves or for other people. So our priority is actually to ensure that any products that you pick from us, there will be no hidden nasties. So we've done all the homework for people who are interested in natural skincare.
Awesome, thank you, Jasmine. And we'll hear a lot more about ingredients in a minute. Just over to Sarada first to hear a little bit more about you and the brand.
Sure. So thank you for the introduction and having me on the panel. I'm Sarada Raghavan, the founder of Iryasa. So my background is that I'm a cell and molecular biologist, and I've always been passionate about holistic beauty and wellness. I completed my PhD at the European Molecular Biology Laboratory in Heidelberg in Germany, and then moved over to Singapore, where I was working at ASTA, where I developed like biosensors to detect chemicals that were made from renewable raw materials. So I think this kind of sparked the importance of being sustainable, and also just made me realize that it's so important. So through my research career, I had the opportunity to work with several scientists, and just working closely with them made me, not only made my love for science grow, but it made me realize that I wanted to create something that can directly benefit the end consumer and just society at large. So I'd say Iryasa is like the first step in that direction for me. So Iryasa means much more than just the products that we formulate. So in addition to our products being safe and effective for your skin and body, we ensure that they're safe for our soil as well. So we firmly believe in sustainable ingredient sourcing, maintaining biodiversity, and giving back to the entire supply chain. So all of our formulations are also designed to correct the cause rather than deal with the effects or temporarily concealing them. So yeah, and that's basically a short background about me, and I'm excited to be part of this discussion and learn more from all of you.
Excellent. So welcome to you, and let's also just carry on to get to know the rest of us who are watching you as panelists today, and find out where everyone is on their skincare journey. I think we should be having a Slido put on now. If you log into slido.com and you use the hashtag sustainable, you'll be able to see 4 options. So if you can log in there and then plot in what you think, what kind of person you are. Are you one who don't know much about organic and sustainable skincare? You buy commercial products? Are you one of those people who buy organic and sustainable products but don't know much about why it's so important? Or do you buy organic and sustainable products and know a lot but would like to explore more? Or are you actually one of those people who make your own sustainable skincare? So let's just wait a minute to see what the results are. Okay, interesting. So we've got, hold on, let me just. So we've got 60% who are in the first one, but you buy organic sustainable products, but you don't know much about why it's important, which is exactly why you're here. And quite a few of you also don't know much about organic and sustainable skincare, and you buy commercial products. Most of you actually know quite a bit, but none of you make your own. But you know, so this is a good starting point, I think, for all of us here. Excellent. Hold on, let me just try and get back here. All right, so maybe we should try and ask you, Sarada and Jasmine, whoever wants to go first, if you can, in a couple of lines, say, I know it's not easy, but try and answer, what is sustainable skincare? Any, Jasmine or Sarada, who would like to go first?
Sustainable skincare is like a huge area. It covers so much. But in my opinion, it's about knowing the impact of the product that you're using from the start to the end of the product. And then you can also look at it as the journey of the product, where along the way you see maybe the person who makes it, the ingredients that go into it, the packaging, why is it in this way, and finally the end of the product. So what happens to the packaging after that? Yeah, short and sweet.
Yeah, it's complicated, as you say, Sarada.
So yeah, very similar to what Jasmine just said. So for me, I guess sustainable skincare by definition are products that provide environmental, social, economic benefits by protecting public health and the environment. So, and over their entire life cycle, from the extraction of raw materials until the final disposal. So for me, I guess it begins with ethical ingredient sourcing, non-toxic modes of processing, extraction of herbs, carrying out good manufacturing processes, fair trade, using recyclable packaging. So I think it's important to be minimalistic and environmentally responsible and just taking from nature what we need and no more. So that for me is sustainable. And so that's what we do at Iryasa. We use natural biodegradable ingredients that enhance skin health. And we ensure that we take from the earth only what we need and what can be returned back without causing any damage to the planet. So yeah, all of our ingredients are edible, and I think it's important to kind of apply on your skin what you can eat, because if you do that, you know it's truly safe and non-toxic for both the planet and people. So yeah, for me, that's sustainable skincare.
That's a good guideline. I think for many of us who who go to the shops and are trying to find out what is important, it can be super hard because there can be so many different things that you need to look after. Like you just said, you mentioned quite a few things just quickly there. Maybe it would be a good idea for us to try and go through each of them. And because I think for many customers, it's like, do we need to tick all the boxes, or is it okay to tick one? For example, when I started the more natural skincare 15 years ago, organic was the big buzzword, right? And since then, there's a lot of things have been added onto that list. Maybe we should start with organic. How do you make sure a product is organic? Because I know from speaking to a lot of people, in your business, that it's actually a really, really hard thing to do, especially here in Southeast Asia, where certification is limited. Who would like to? Sarada, you look like you would like to say something about that.
Sure. So in general, like I don't know whether you want to go through them one by one, but these are the general buzzwords would be organic, vegan, cruelty-free, non-toxic, right? So for me, there are several certifying bodies for these claims. And while, that's great, I think it's important to just look at your ingredients list, do your own research, because not every natural ingredient is safe and not every chemical is toxic. So while I think, for me, yes, at Iryasa, we do like to tick all the boxes. I think what's more important to ask what's in yeah, what's important to ask is what's in the product and not only think about what's not in there, because I think the no lists have been publicized enough, and I think it's important and you should follow those no lists. But I think what's more important is to ask what's in the product, because what's not in the product's not going to do any damage. What's in the product is. So I think reading your ingredients list and yeah, understanding them.
So getting to know your brand, so it seems as well, right? Because my understanding is as well that a product can actually be organic, but they might not label it organic, right? Because certification can be quite costly, especially if you have to have people flown in from Australia or wherever, you know, it takes. So I know definitely I've spoken to brands who say their products are organic, or they're, you know, it's organic, you know, maybe 90%. But the fact that, you know, the certification is so expensive would, you know, mean that they would be out of business. So maybe to get to know your brand as well.
I think for small brands, it's the hardest to get all the certifications in place because it does cost a lot. So while for me, it was important to do all those things, the certifications will come later maybe, but I needed to do it right rather than worry about getting all the certifications in place. Yeah.
So Jasmine, what's your view on this? Because it's quite a jungle. There will also be people out there who will label their products organic and they might not be organic. So how do you know what you're buying?
So for us, we work with different brands and makers. So it's back to whether, I guess, the formulation and also the maker themselves, whether they claim what they do. Sorry, they do what they claim. Yeah, and that's something that's very important, because you could say that you use organic ingredients, but then whether you are using it's something that we can't really test it. Obviously, with the formal certification of being certified organic, it's expensive, but this is actually one way that you can definitely get certified organic ingredients within the product. But like you mentioned, it's really expensive, and a lot of small makers don't have that resources to do it. But if for consumer, it really goes back to your own learning journey. Whether do you know that brand? Do you think what they do is something that's trustworthy? It's something that you focus on, and whether, you know, or there are any conflicting ideas with what they do. So then it's up to consumers to decide, if without the label, whether they trust the brand or not.
So again, research is key here. So of course, not everyone would feel that they have to tick all the boxes. So one of the boxes that has come up in recent times is vegan. So Jasmine, what is your view on that? What if you're not I'm just saying a vegan, like you don't eat vegan? How important is it that this box is ticked if you're obviously not a vegan by heart and feel that you have to follow those?
I'm personally not a vegan, but I do use a lot of plant-based products because they generally work for me. For people who are vegan, they would likely look for vegan products just because it stays aligned with their values. And it's very important that you use something that you trust, something that is aligned with your values, and that you find that it's helpful for you. So like Sarada mentioned, that focus what's in the product, not what it doesn't have, just because what it doesn't have, it wouldn't affect you anyway. Yeah.
Is there anything, maybe Sarada, you can answer that. Is there anything you need to look out for if you're looking for vegan products and you don't necessarily know the brand, you just see it on the shelf? Is there any ingredients or something you should look out for that if that's there, they're lying?
That's a little bit hard. So there's so many ingredients and have like chemical names. I would say you need to kind of Google every ingredient.
Right.
Again, make sure that it's you know, not an animal ingredient. So a lot of, like, for me, like beeswax. So I'm not vegan. I eat you know, non-vegan food, but I am vegetarian. So for me, like using beeswax, I think it's a fantastic ingredient, but it won't go in a vegan product. So it's a great ingredient and I would love to use it, but my products are vegan, so I wanted to stay with the philosophy. So for me, yeah, I think it's important to kind of look through every ingredient because there is really no other way. And also a lot of certifying bodies, like while I think they've made it a little bit easier for big, you know, for brands to kind of say, okay, if we get the certification, we are organic, or there's so many rules. Like every country has different, definitions of organic. So it's really hard to actually be organic in one country and think, you know, be organic in another one as well. So I think there's too much vagueness. So I think it's important to kind of just go through that ingredient list and do your bit of research. Yeah, it doesn't take that much time, and yeah.
No, I think there's a couple of apps who have actually specialized in this, so maybe we can add that maybe to the Facebook chat or something, who actually, where I think you can scan the product and then, you know, it will come up. But anyway, we can go back to that, or maybe look at it later. So of course you already mentioned.
On top of what Sarada has mentioned.
Yeah, sorry, Jasmine. Yeah.
Yeah, sorry. So on top of what Sarada has mentioned, there are a few certification bodies for vegan products. You can look at, I mean, it depends on whether you, so that there's a bit of gray area between cruelty-free and vegan products. You can be cruelty-free, but you still use non-vegan ingredients. So there are different certification bodies. If you are vegan, you can look at vegan.org. It's a certification where it just comes in a V, which is, sorry, fitting. So then it's very easy for you to recognize, but locally, I don't think that any local brands out here would have that certification at the moment. With regards to cruelty-free, you can look at PETA or the Leaping Rabbit. So that's some of the certification bodies that's overseas that is very popular among the skincare brands, and it's something that consumers like you and I can take note as well. Okay, great information there. And the last one, what we often see, which is also one that's come up in the later couple of years, is the non-toxic. To me, non-toxic sounds a bit vague. I don't know if any of you can explain more what that would mean.
So for me, I would say if it's something you can eat, it's safe. So, yeah. And yeah. So, okay. So while it's important to be able to say eat it, it's also the quantity. So sometimes in such minute quantities, they won't do anything to you. And, or well, at least we don't know the long-term effects. So if you feel like there is enough research in on most of the basic ingredients that are used, and if they can cause any damage, then it's just better to avoid them, because there's a chance that we don't know the long-term effects as yet. So right. Yeah, I would stick with literally edible stuff. It's the safest. Yeah. Because if you are comfortable enough putting it into your body, it's probably perfectly safe for your skin.
Okay, great. Jasmine, you want to add to that, or?
Yeah, so for me, I look out for things that are not tested on. So generally, when you need to test something for safety, it's likely that there is a concern. So then that's why people test for it on animals and things like that. So whenever, I mean, for us, I mean, we eat an avocado, we don't test the avocado, simple as that. Just like Sarada's mentioned that whatever you eat, it's safe enough, therefore it will be good for your skin as well. So just a little thought process there.
Okay, that's great. So let's move on to how we receive the product, the packaging. Because as some of you might know who are watching this, you know, when thrown in the bin, packaging gets incinerated in Singapore, right? So there's this whole idea about, you know, should the packaging be biodegradable? Should it not? How do we avoid packaging? Could you talk about that a little bit, because that must be a real challenge, you know, for you guys when you bring out your products to avoid this, and how have you? What thought processes have you been through, and have they changed along the way? Maybe you can enlighten us a bit on that.
Yeah. Yeah. So at Iryasa, sorry. So Jasmine, do you want to go first, or?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. So at Iryasa, we use glass packaging at the moment, and our jars can easily be reused after just rinsing out your residual product. And in the long term, however, we do have plans to implement a refilling system where we can try to be more sustainable, generate less waste. And so at the moment, actually, circuit breaker was kind of useful because we have some initial thoughts about and ideas about novel packaging. So we're working towards it, but I think it's really hard to kind of get the whole customer coming back and refilling. And so we need to set up big stations. So it might be a little bit, yeah, tricky at the moment, but right now we're trying to do our best, and we are using glass packaging so that the glass jars can be used again, and all our cartons are recyclable, made from recyclable packaging. So yeah, I think what's important is to constantly think about new ways to minimize like your ecological footprint. So I think that kind of drives you to kind of keep getting better. But at the moment, I would say, yeah, glass packaging is as much as what we've done.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's also starting something. So even though Singapore might not be ready for all these types of recycling systems that we see abroad, example is glass. You know, I know that glass is recycled in you know, in some ways here, but you know, it's starting the journey, right, and showing the example, so that you know we can get the right processes along the way, so that at least that you know if you as producers do it, that's a good incentive to actually make the recycling system work a bit better. What's your view on this, Jasmine?
So I think with regards to packaging, there's all sustainable packaging. There's just so many options out there. There's like the biodegradable paper ones, there's the reusable glass ones like Sarada has. There's also like compostable ones. But I think at the end of the day, the best sort of packaging will be one that's reusable, even if it's plastic. Just because when you reuse it, you're actually not sort of you're giving it more lives than it should have. So that is really the best form of packaging. Obviously, for some products, packaging is required. For some products, not necessarily. But if you do need to find a product that is in line with your journey to reduce waste, then look for something that is reusable, if not recyclable, if not no packaging. Just a few pointers out there on what you can look out for. Obviously no packaging is best, but sometimes it's just, because with skincare, it's just very difficult with formulation, with preservatives and all that. Sometimes you can't really get products without packaging, but if there is, obviously there's all these checkpoints that you can tick along your journey, and then you'll be able to find one that fits your lifestyle.
Yeah, and I guess just to move on as well, that the whole issue of packaging is also related to the lifespan of a product, right? So I was thinking before when you both said, if you can eat it, then it's good. Okay, but if you can eat it, how long does it last, right? So do we need to look after that when we buy all these, you know, organic and non-toxic products, that they don't have the same lifespan as a commercial product? Maybe Jasmine?
Yeah. So for us, I think lifespan of a product differs with different brands. So as a consumer, follow the brand's guidelines and then use your own instinct. So let's say if you open a product and it's moldy, obviously you don't use it. That's just something that you have to have, that sort of instinct. If something is spoiled, don't use it. Something is spoiled, you don't eat it. But all in all, follow the brand's guidelines, because they would have formulated it as to stretch out the entire lifespan. If beyond its lifetime, and you think that it's still usable, use at your own risk. But sometimes natural skincare can go beyond their lifespan, just because you don't introduce moisture, bacteria into the product when you open it, or before you open it. So then you can actually extend and use it even after it's sort of expired.
Okay, great. Sarah?
So I guess I believe that it's essential to preserve a product. So more harm can be done by one-time use of an organic, preservative-free product that has gone bad compared to a commercial product with parabens, right? So yes, look out for expiry dates. And so at Iryasa, we do preserve our products with food-grade preservatives. So they're still edible, and they just ensure a sufficient shelf life for us. So I think it's important to preserve a product, because often you won't see the mold growing. It might just be something that's there, and you don't know if it's gone bad. Like, not everything can be seen with the eye. So you'll be like smearing stuff on your face, and you'll break out, and you'll have no idea why. And you'll think you're reacting to something in the ingredients list, but it's not. It's just gone bad. So I think it's important to preserve a product if you want it to have a long shelf life. However, if you're going to mix up something in your kitchen and apply it immediately on your face, that's just great too.
So any sort of good rules to know, that is it always good to have oils in the fridge or things like that can keep it longer, or do you have any kind of little tips on that, or does it depend on every single product?
I would say it depends on the formulation. So yes, in the fridge, things would last a bit longer, but I would say follow the guidelines of the brand, because they've probably done their testing. So yeah, For example, oils will usually last much longer because there's no water there, and yeah, you'll grow less bacteria if in the absence of water. Or yeah, like oils get rancid at much later stages compared to a water-based product. So,
and I think you can smell that sometimes, right? But yeah, maybe not always. So,
and not everyone knows the smell of something gone bad. So I think it's important to just toss it when if the brand says it's expired.
Yeah. So before I open up the floor to the Q&A and the other participants, I would like to personally know, why is it important to our skin that we use products that are organic and non-toxic? And I'm also asking because I'm getting older, so I'm thinking like aging skin, will it be good enough, protection? So that's a bit of a broad question, but maybe one of you can answer that.
I think for me, it's very important to use the right product for your right skin health. For someone with eczema, you can see I'm getting rashes from, I'm not sure, dust. So I've had eczema since I was a baby, and eventually I had to go through a steroid withdrawal because of all the years of using steroids. And I've only seen better skin health since I started using No Nasty's natural products. And it's made a change in my life in the sense that that's how I view that's how I started my journey to be more aware, to be, I guess, leading towards a more sustainable lifestyle, and to actually be aware of what's going on into the product and also how it affects myself and also maybe the environment just from the ingredients or the packaging. And as to your question about whether the skincare that you use, the natural skincare, is it sufficient protection for your skin? It really depends. So if you use a product, whether is it mainstream product or is it a natural based product, if it's not suitable for you, it's not going to help you. So definitely find a product that is that works for you. But a very quick tip will be if you're using this product for many years and you don't see an improvement, or it's sort of a roller coaster ride where you get well, you get not so good days, then maybe that product is not good for you. It's time to do a switch. Because like the skin and our health, it's changing all the time. So for example, I used to be allergic to a certain food like seafood, but then now I can take them. So our body evolves with the whether it's your immune system or is it the environment issues. So it will evolve, and so will your skin health. So then using really the right products will actually help your skin health to be stronger, and that's where you can prevent aging or even look much younger. Yeah.
That sounds great.
You're on the right.
Just before I hear your view, Sarah, I just want obviously to encourage everyone to ask some questions at our Q&A. The functions should be below the screen, so please ask your questions. And then I'd like to hear from you as well, Sarah, what we should think about in terms of, is it really this important that we use organic and non-toxic product for our skin?
Well, I think a lot of brands have talked about how everything gets absorbed into the skin and goes into the bloodstream. And I think it's important to understand that not all ingredients are equally absorbed into the skin. So it definitely varies depending on the size of the chemical, the solubility. It depends on the skin thickness, what chemicals the body holds, and how the body reacts to those chemicals, right? So it could just kind of clear out the chemicals without it entering the bloodstream or doing any harm. So I think most products don't directly reach the bloodstream like a lot of brands talk about, and that's why they kind of scare you saying what you apply on your skin gets into your bloodstream in 30 seconds. So don't, I think our skin is a fantastic barrier, and if it were that easy to get absorbed into bloodstream, there would be more effective topical drugs. A lot of skincare products do penetrate the layers and remain there. So that being said, the percentage of ingredients that do pass through your epidermis, which is the outer layer of your skin, into your dermis, where they do have a chance to circulate into your blood and lymph, there is a percentage. And current cosmetics use a lot of penetration enhancers, which makes them go in deeper and actually would end up. So I think more of the good stuff, while more of the good stuff is entering your blood, your skin and probably entering your bloodstream, the bad stuff will do too. So I think in general, healthier the ingredients, safer the ingredients, the better. So I think it is important to use, non-toxic ingredients. But like Jasmine said, I think what works for one person may not work for another person. So you could be allergic to natural ingredients as well. So I think just coming back to the point of reading your ingredient list and doing your own research, because honestly, there's nothing else that would, everyone's so different. Especially like for facial skin, right? Your skin's so much thinner on your face compared to your hands and feet. So it will be more sensitive to like the nasty ingredients. So that will cause you to break out. So something that works on your hands may not work on your face. Not that you would use your hand cream, but in general, like you would use something, for your hands and you feel like, oh, this is working. And it could have toxic chemicals, but it's not really, you can't see any effect. But I would say skin that's more sensitive, especially your face, you'll see something that, you'll see breakouts if it doesn't suit you.
And as you just said as well, Jasmine, that, obviously changing it as you get older. So that's something to think about too. Right, so we've got some questions. And we have a person here who's saying, can you share some organic or no nasty skincare brands and products that you love? Obviously, you're also representatives for your own brands, so outside sales. But I think maybe more so talk about, this person's also asking, so many brands call themselves clean these days. What should we look out for? So maybe Jasmine, would you like to answer those two questions? I think maybe it's a bit hard for you to answer the first one because you're a bit biased, but but maybe talking about what we should look out for as well.
Yeah, so for us, we actually select a few brands. So we don't actually just have one skincare brand because we don't think that one skincare sort of fits everyone's needs. So in terms of some of the brands, I guess I can do a plug here and say don't go on to Wellness Within. So most of them are actually pretty good. And with regards to clean, the term clean, it really goes back to what you know about skincare products. So generally with products that has long chemical names, I would avoid them. Like names that I can't even read, I would try to avoid them because they would likely be chemical based. And also there are a few apps and websites that you could look up as well. Just a tip there. I use ewg.org. And I do know that they have a very extensive list of ingredients, not necessarily formulations, but ingredients where you can look at and see, hey, is this a good ingredient? Is it clean enough? And they have different ratings to help you with that. There are other websites and apps to help you to scan products like Mathilde mentioned earlier, but those are actually, most of the products there are actually based overseas. So it may be, so a lot of them you can, like if you're buying from overseas, you can check them out, but I think it's not quite applicable locally. Generally, if you, like I said, like if you believe in that brand and a lot of the ingredients that you see on the box and you actually know it, you feel like you've seen them before on another skincare product, then likely they are as clean as they can be.
Yeah, excellent. And also just to add to the first question, maybe I can just put it a local input here that actually on orgayana.com we do have quite a few articles on, your 10 best organic or 10 best natural skincare products in Singapore. So that's a place to look for that as well. We have another question for Sarada. What are some examples of penetration enhancers we should look out for? Maybe you can tell us what that means as well, if that means something to you.
A lot of them will be alcohol based because that will weaken, anything that can weaken your skin barrier will allow ingredients to get in better. And that's why a lot of skincare companies do use alcohol-based penetration enhancers. However, I don't have like the chemical names here for it, but I can look it up and share later. But they will be usually alcohol-based, which will at some point kind of disrupt your skin barrier in some way so that the ingredients get in better. And usually ethanol, the usual stuff you'll see. But not all alcohols are bad. So you should kind of be careful. So like Jasmine said earlier, if you can't say the name of a chemical, you probably shouldn't trust it. I wouldn't go with that because I feel like a lot of names we don't know. So I think read it and definitely check it out because you might not know sterile alcohol or cetyl alcohol, but they're all fatty alcohols, which are good for the skin and which kind of nourish your skin. And a lot of skincare brands use them. So I would just say, do a quick Google and, you'll see the general trend towards whether it's something that you need to be careful about or it's something that's good. But also there's so much conflicting data on this. It is really overwhelming and hard, actually. So when I started, I'm not a cosmetologist, I'm a cell and molecular biologist, but I just realized that there's so much out there, and like the customers kind of, yeah, it's just mean. They just fool you with lots of words and stuff. So I think it is it's a lot of work to actually go through and make sure you're using. So yeah, I would say just go with a trusted brand and see who you test it on yourself, because you know, most of these brands don't test on animals. So.
Okay, thanks. I think we have time for one more question. Just to say that quite a few of the ones on Slido we have talked about earlier, so maybe you can watch the talk again on Facebook if you want to see that, especially about the organic, natural, vegan. We already talked about that. But what about this one? I think is interesting. What are your takes on paraben? Because that's been discussed for quite a few years now. How bad is it? What can you say about that? Jasmine, or who would like to talk on parabens?
Well, I'm not a scientist. I don't know much about chemicals, but I try to avoid toxic chemicals or controversial chemicals. So paraben is in the talks over the couple of years, and I think it's valid when people are concerned. So my take on this is, if you can avoid. But a lot of the chemicals are actually in some food as well, that we consume, like apples, veggies, and all that. So my personal concern is actually lab created chemicals that has controversies that's over it. People started doing research about it. There must be some truth to it, but I'm not professional or expert in this area. So my only take is to try to avoid where you can, because there are better alternatives to just paraben.
Okay, thanks. And Sarah, do you have any views on this?
Very similar to what Jasmine said. I think you can avoid them. They're very good preservatives that are safer to use. And well, my take is that, like I said earlier, a preserved product is better than an organic, unpreserved product that's gone bad. So I think it's important. A little bit of paraben, the quantities used are so minute, and you won't see any immediate effect if you use them once. But I think the long-term effects have been studied extensively, and they have been known to, you know, disrupt your hormones. So I would say avoid them, because there are definitely enough alternatives that are much more safe. So yeah.
Okay, thank you for that. I do have actually one more that I think is relevant to finish off with as well. Someone is asking, many skincare gurus have warned against using natural skincare as they can be irritating or even harmful to the skin. They're mentioning lemon, for example. What is your view on that? Can you be using the wrong natural products for certain skins? And you know, what is your take on these other gurus who are saying this? Obviously, I know what you what you stand for, but it's an interesting question, I find.
So I can go first, but so what I feel is that every ingredient can be safe and harmful. So I think it's the quantities that matter. I think it's how they blended together, and the combination of different ingredients can create something toxic. So two good ingredients can be mixed together and make something that's not safe for you. So I think it's really important to get the blends right. And that's why at Iryasa, we don't focus on single ingredients. So now all of our products have aloe vera or turmeric, for example. We talk about an effective blend, because knowing to use them in different quantities and in the right quantities where they're actually benefiting your skin rather than could do damage is very important. So I don't think lemon's harmful to the skin, but if you're gonna be rubbing pure lemon juice, maybe eventually you'll be drying out or over exfoliating your skin. So, but I don't think, yeah, they're harmful. And of course, you know, if you're allergic to lemon or something like that, or you definitely get irritated with it, then you should avoid using it. But I don't think it's a blanket statement on everything natural.
Okay, thank you, Sarada. I think we're going to have to round off now. I would like just before we finish, if I could get your 3 top tips for your natural skincare routine, Jasmine, what are your 3 top tips?
Okay, I think the very important one is to use what's suitable for your skin type. What's suitable for oily skin may not be suitable for dry skin, obviously. But if you have a skin problem, you have a dehydrated skin condition, then you need to look at continuously moisturizing your skin. So tips will be wash your face, moisturize your face, and sleep well.
Yeah, the sleep part, very important. Yeah. And Sarah?
So I think if you care about the entire sustainability journey, I think, and you think about ways to like minimize your ecological footprint, if that's your guiding principle, then I would say read your ingredient list very carefully, question everything, do your own research, or find someone you truly trust. But for a simple natural skincare routine, I think it's super simple. Like Justin said, cleanse your face, use gentle, natural exfoliators, and on warm skin, apply your serums, moisturizers, or oils, whatever works for you. Because that ensures maximum absorption. So you'll see effective results from the herbs that you're using or whatever products that you're using. So yeah, I would say, and you know, drink a lot of water.
Yeah. Water and sleep, right? Water and sleep.
Absolutely. Yeah. Water. If I don't drink water for sufficient water for a few days, I'll already feel like my skin's not looking good. So yeah.
Yeah.
So important.
Good reminder.
Yeah, overnight it can change your skin. It's amazing.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, ladies. That was such good insight in just 45 minutes. I'm much wiser, and I hope the rest of you are too. If anyone felt they didn't get their question answered, go into the Green Collective's Facebook. The talk will be there for a while, I would suspect, as it's been recorded for Facebook too. And I'm sure the ladies won't mind answering a couple of questions if you ask them under the video there. Am I right, ladies? If you still have any. So we'll continue the conversation for sure. Yeah, and thank you, and have a wonderful night, everyone. And make sure, wash your face, get good sleep, and drink a glass of water before you go to bed. Thanks a lot, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye.